need memory to do all the operations in our day-to-day life, computer also needs memory to carry out operations. Computer memory consists of a system of devices which store data or programs. The computer memory is a temporary or permanent storage. It holds the data and instructions that the central processing unit needs. Before the program can be run, the program is loaded from some storage medium into the memory. This allows the CPU to get a direct access to the program. Each memory unit is made up of chips which have inbuilt fabrication of millions of transistors and capacitors. These tiny elements combine to store a single bit of data in a memory cell in the form of binary digits, that is 0 or 1. The capacitor acts as a holding cell for the binary data, whereas the transistor allows the memory circuit to read and write the values of the data held in the capacitor. When these elements are connected in the memory chip, the capacitor is able to receive and store data sent by the computer's CPU. Computer memory can be defined as the physical devices used to store programs or data on a temporary or permanent basis for use in a computer. Computer memory is mainly of two types: primary memory and secondary memory. Primary memory is also called as main memory. It is the memory directly accessible to the CPU. The CPU continuously reads and writes instructions and executes them as required. For example, RAM and ROM. The second type of memory is secondary memory. User needs some extra memory which is stored in optical or magnetic devices. This memory is called as secondary memory. Unlike primary memory, it is not directly accessible by the CPU. It is also called as additional memory or backup memory.
Now, we will discuss about the characteristics of computer memory. First characteristic is volatility, based on which computer memory is divided into two types: volatile memory and non-volatile memory. Volatile memory requires constant power to maintain the stored information. This is the fastest memory. Non-volatile memory retains even if we shut down computer. So, it is suitable for long-term storage of data. For example, ROM. The next characteristic is mutability or changeability. Memory storage in which changes such as rewriting can be made is known as read or write memory, whereas memory storage in which changes cannot be made is known as read-only memory. The next characteristic is accessibility. On the basis of easy accessibility, storage devices are of two types: random access and sequential access. Random access: any location in storage can be accessed at any moment in approximately the same amount of time. Sequential access: pieces of information will be accessed in a serial order. Addressability is the next characteristic of computer memory. A program's ability to reference all of the storage associated with an address space is called addressability. The address can be a location, file, or content. Another important characteristic of memory storage is capacity. The maximum amount of information that can be stored in a storage device is known as the capacity of that device. The next characteristic is performance. The performance of memory storage device is measured on the basis of its latency, throughput, granularity, and reliability. Latency refers to the time it takes to access a particular location in storage. Throughput is the rate at which information can be read from or written to the storage. Granularity is the capability of accessing the large size data as a single unit. Reliability is the probability of performing a required function without failure. The last characteristic is energy consumption of memory. Some storage devices are low energy consuming and some are more energy consuming.
Now we shall discuss fundamental storage technology. The most commonly used primary data storage technology is semiconductor. Semiconductor memory uses semiconductor based integrated circuits to store information.
All primary memory is semiconductor memory, as it is stored on semiconductor memory chip. Both volatile and non-volatile forms of semiconductor memory exist. In modern computers, primary storage consists of dynamic volatile semiconductor memory or dynamic RAM. A type of non-volatile semiconductor memory is flash memory. A semiconductor memory can store bits in two ways. First, transistorized, that is flip-flops, which switch between 0 and 1, and second way is capacitorized, that is storing a charge for 1, no charge for 0. Let us discuss types of primary memory. The first type of primary memory is register. Registers are temporary memory units that store words. The registers are located in the processor, so data can be accessed and stored faster. These are part of the CPU with the least capacity. There is a set of register with high-speed storage areas.
These are normally measured by the number of bits they can hold, for example 8-bit register or 32-bit register. A processor can often contain several kinds of registers that can be classified according to their content or instructions that operate on them, like user accessible registers, conditional registers, general purpose registers, etc. The next type of primary memory is cache memory. It is a type of primary storage where the computer can temporarily store blocks of data. It is a small amount of memory, typically 256 or 512 kilobytes. It is faster for CPU to access than main memory. The advantage of cache memory is that the CPU does not have to use the motherboard's system for data transfer. The next important memory is random access memory, that is RAM. It is available for the operating system program and process to use when the computer is running. It is a semiconductor memory which can be written to as well as read from. It is volatile memory. Some types of RAM are non-volatile also. Another important type of primary memory is ROM, that is read-only memory. This memory comes with your computer that is pre-written to hold the instruction for booting. It is non-volatile memory. It is stored by instructions provided by the manufacturer. It also possesses random access property. Information can be only read from ROM. User cannot write into ROM. Now we shall discuss types of RAM and ROM. RAM is mainly of two types, static RAM and dynamic RAM. Static RAM, which is known as SRAM, retains its content as long as electrical power is applied to the chip. If the power is turned off, its content will be lost forever. This memory need not to be refreshed. Dynamic RAM, which is known as DRAM, has an extremely short data lifetime, typically about 4 milliseconds, even when power is applied constantly. DRAM needs to refresh periodically.
The dynamic RAM has different types. The first dynamic RAM is Embedded Dynamic Random Access Memory, which is abbreviated as EDRAM. It is a capacitor-based and dynamic random access memory integrated as processor. It allows higher operation speed. Larger amounts of memory can be installed on smaller chips with EDRAM. EDRAM requires periodic refreshing of the memory cells. It is used in IBM's Power 7 processor and also in many game consoles. The next dynamic RAM is Extended Data Output RAM, which is abbreviated as EDORAM. EDORAM is a type of random access memory chip that improves the time to read from memory on faster microprocessors such as Intel Pentium. In an EDORAM, any memory location can be accessed. The next dynamic RAM is DDR-SDRAM, that is Double Data Rate Synchronous Dynamic RAM. It has higher bandwidth, means greater speed. It supports data transfers on both edges of each clock cycle, effectively doubling the memory chip's data throughput. It consumes less power. DDR-SDRAM is also called SDRAM2 or DDRAM. Now we shall discuss about different types of read-only memory. The first type is PROM, that is Programmable Read-Only Memory. It is also known as Field Programmable Read-Only Memory, that is FPROM, or One-Time Programmable Non-Volatile Memory, that is OTP-NVM. The PROMs are used to store programs permanently. Once you program it, you can never change it. These types of memories are seen in video game consoles, mobile phones, and radio frequency, etc. The second type of ROM is EPROM, that is Erasable and Programmable ROM. The stored data in EPROMs can be erased by exposing it to ultraviolet light for about 20 minutes.
But the entire data is erased and not selected portions by the user. It can be erased and reprogrammed repeatedly. These are an essential part of the software development and testing process. EPROM are used in smart cards. Next type of ROM is EEPROM, that is electrically erasable PROM. It is used to store small amount of data that must be saved when power is removed. Example, calibration tables or device configuration. Internally, they are similar to EPROMs, but the erase operation is accomplished electrically rather than by exposure to ultraviolet light.
Our next topic is memory module. Memory module is a broad term used to refer to a series of dynamic random access memory. It has a number of integrated circuit modules mounted on a printed circuit board. These are designed for use in personal computers, workstations, and servers. Memory modules are of two types, that is SIM and DIMM. SIMM. The single inline memory module is a small circuit board that can hold a group of memory chips. It can hold up to 8 or 9 RAM chips. It is measured in bytes rather than bits. SIMMs are easier to install than individual memory chips.
It has a 32-bit path to the memory chips. DIMM, Dual Inline Memory Module, is a small circuit board that holds memory chips. It has 64-bit path. The Pentium processor requires a 64-bit path to memory. You need to install SIMs 2 at a time. With DIMMs, you can install memory 1 DIMM at a time.